Welcome to the Numis Hunter, and thank you for joining us on this thrilling deep dive into one of the most astonishing, mind-bending stories in modern coin collecting. We're a humble piece of everyday American change. The 1983 D Washington quarter transforms from pocket change into an unbelievable treasure rumored at a value reaching an eye-popping $17 million. A number that seems impossible for a circulating coin struck only decades ago. Yet this remarkable legend grows from a mixture of rare errors, mysterious production mishaps, and an electrifying excitement that fuels collectors everywhere. So buckle in as we explore what makes this coin so extraordinary and why its extraordinary combination of mistakes and wild possibilities can launch it into the realm of big money rarities that define the numismatic world. Beginning with the fact that 1983 was a unique year because Philadelphia and Denver mints did not release official mint sets, making many high quality business strike coins harder to preserve in pristine condition and pushing surviving premium examples into greater desirability, especially when they carry unexpected striking anomalies, metal flaws, and rare transitional qualities. But the 1983 D quarter goes far beyond simple rarity because its most rumored and valuable examples involve dramatic mint errors, including off-center strikes that show missing rim portions and distorted device impressions, double-die obverse varieties where the inscription's liberty or the date itself appear doubled when viewed under magnification, and dramatic reverse doubling where the eagle's wings, claws, and United States of America motto carry a ghosted second image that should never have occurred if everything during the striking process had functioned perfectly, turning what should be a common coin into a mysterious masterpiece of mint mishaps. And the tale becomes even stranger when we consider the alleged transitional composition error possibilities, where some believe a handful of 1983 D quarters may have been accidentally struck on experimental planchets or leftover metal stock, producing weight or metal anomalies that could be detected only by highly precise measuring tools. Testing the boundaries of what collectors believe is possible during mint production because a wrong planchet strike could mean the coin contains the wrong alloy or even completely different metal than intended, catapulting its desirability into the stratosphere, as such outrageous deviations are so phenomenally rare that even the whisper of their existence sends shockwaves through the collecting community, especially among experts hunting for the next jaw-dropping discovery. And while even a simple double die or off-center strike can bring hefty premiums, the perfect storm of multiple overlapping errors, stunning condition, and powerful rumor are what create the lore around a $17 million valuation, a number tied, not to typical marketplace trends, but to the belief that an ultimate error specimen could exist, maybe locked away in a private hoard or sitting unnoticed in someone's old drawer. Because errors such as improper annealing leave areas of the coin showing strange discoloration, streaks, or texturing that indicate the metal was heated incorrectly, while broad strikes cause the coin to expand beyond normal diameter as if it lost the stabilizing pressure of the collar during minting, and die breaks or cuts, creating raised blobs of metal where a portion of the die fractured during use. Add raw personality to the surface and amplify its uniqueness, transforming each strange imperfection into a historical fingerprint from the chaotic moments of mechanical malfunction within the minting chamber. And of course, the Denver Mint, marked by the small letter D below the date, is known for producing enormous volumes of coins to satisfy national circulation needs, which makes discovering severe errors in its output thrilling, because the high production speed increases the possibility of unnoticed mistakes escaping quality control and landing directly into circulation, which is why collectors are urged to check the date, the mint mark, the rim, in every tiny detail under bright light and magnification, especially on coins showing unusual thickness, weak strikes, or unnatural reflectivity. Because one never knows when the next unimaginable discovery may surface and legends grow larger as. Collectors look for missing clad layer errors where the outer nickel-clad coating has peeled or failed, exposing the copper core beneath, producing dramatic two-tone visuals that transform an already rare piece into a visual spectacle, while others describe full brockage strikes where the image of one side is imprinted in reverse onto the opposite side due to a previously struck coin getting stuck in the dies. A mistake so dramatic and visually captivating that any 1983 D quarter showing it could instantly command astronomical bids at auction. And this is where the imagination of numismatists fuels the belief that if a single 1983 D quarter were to combine multiple large-scale mint errors in pristine, untouched condition, authenticated by top grading services with a near-perfect mint state rating, its trophy value could soar to unimaginable heights, potentially landing in the record-breaking territory of $17 million if competing elite collectors found themselves locked in a bidding war for the ultimate one-of-a-kind error coin. Much like how rare collectibles across art, cars, and luxury artifacts skyrocket when their rarity transcends mere ownership and becomes a symbol of identity and historical prestige, because the hunger to own the only example of its kind becomes priceless. And over the years, stories continue circulating about dramatic 1983 D error quarters discovered unexpectedly, sometimes in old jars, changed drawers, or inherited possessions, igniting massive curiosity among everyday people and seasoned collectors alike, as many dream of stumbling upon a coin whose extraordinary flaws make it a once-in-a-lifetime windfall, driving interest in searching for doubled inscriptions, strangely thick or thin rims, rotated die strikes where the front and back images are misaligned by several degrees, or even phantom design impressions from clash dies where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving mirrored outlines embedded into the surfaces and adding yet another layer of mystique to the coin's visual appeal. And when we combine this with the fact that few collectors saved high-quality 1983 business strike coins because official mint sets were absent from government issue that year, the already limited pool of superior examples shrinks even further, meaning that if one of these mythical, heavily errored 1983 D quarters exists in brilliant, nearly flawless condition, its rarity becomes so enormous that trying to assign it a traditional price fails to capture its historic significance and extreme desirability. So a theoretical $17 million figure emerges purely from the incomparable uniqueness and the explosive demand among deep-pocket collectors seeking the most outrageous and thrilling anomalies ever produced by the United States Mint, pulling us into the dreamlike world where a coin once worth 25 cents evolves into a numismatic legend that symbolizes the unpredictable beauty of minting, the wonder of historical accidents, and the relentless passion of collectors searching for hidden treasures in everyday change. And through this journey, we learn that the power of possibility, combined with unusual mint errors, dramatic storylines, and breathtaking rarity, is what elevates the 1983 D Washington quarter into the realm of extraordinary wealth, making it a coin that inspires hope, fuels excitement, and keeps collectors searching tirelessly, because somewhere out there, maybe in someone's forgotten drawer or pocket, the next great treasure story may be waiting to unfold, reminding us that even the smallest piece of metal can carry an epic tale of mystery, value, and wonder. Next, 1997 P Washington quarter, a coin that everyday people could have spent without a second thought, yet rumored examples with extraordinary mint errors have reached a staggering value of up to $12 million, an amount that shocks even seasoned collectors. And what makes this year's Philadelphia minted quarter so astonishing is not just its age or design, but the unusual mistakes, minting abnormalities, and incredible possibilities that have elevated rare specimens into the realm of ultra-premium numismatic legends, with stories circulating about error types ranging from double dies to misstruck planchets and even unheard-of metal composition anomalies, making the 1997 P quarter one of the most intriguing coins to ever emerge from the modern era of American minting. Because while millions were produced, a small whisper in the collecting world suggests that only a handful of truly spectacular examples may exist, pieces whose extraordinary flaws push their value far beyond the expected, transforming them from normal loose change into unimaginable wealth. And before understanding how a 25-cent coin could reach multi-million-dollar status, we must look at how minor accidents in the minting process combine to create something so rare that collectors are willing to pay unimaginable amounts, starting with major double die errors where the date, United States of America lettering, Liberty inscription, and even the profile of George Washington display ghosted, outlines or heavy doubling visible under magnification, providing unmistakable evidence that the dies slipped or struck slightly off register during production, creating fascinating and highly desirable visual anomalies that become the foundation of its rarity. And beyond doubling, there are also dramatic offset or strikes, where the design appears shifted or incomplete, revealing wide blank sections along the edge, making the coin look like a distorted echo of itself. And when these off-center errors align with a strong 1997 P mint mark and well-preserved condition, the uniqueness grows exponentially because the farther the strike is off-center while still showing a clear date and mint mark, the more valuable it becomes, especially if it still retains the core details of Washington's portrait or the delicate eagle architecture that remains a cherished part of pre-statehood quarter designs. Yet the most mind-bending rumors surrounding the 1997 P quarter involve the possibility of wrong planchet strikes, meaning the coin may have accidentally been struck on metal intended for another denomination, such as a dime, clad dollar stock, or leftover transitional alloy that would make it weigh incorrectly and display unexpected toning or color variation, since a wrong metal composition turns an ordinary strike into a once-in-a-generation mistake. And only the rarest verification of this type can push values into territory normally reserved for historical treasures. And when we reflect on the idea that a coin like this might be the only one of its kind, the imagination begins to soar, especially when considering coins with a missing clad layer, meaning the top or bottom of the nickel coating peeled away, exposing the copper core, and creating a two-tone effect that collectors love because it provides instant visual proof of something gone wrong inside the mint's manufacturing process. And while missing clad layer errors exist across several years of quarters, finding one in pristine condition for 1997 P elevates it into elite levels, since the combination of rarity, condition, and authenticated proof of mint error becomes nearly priceless. And adding to this puzzle are broad-struck errors where the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal in place failed, letting the coin spread wider than normal, so the rim appears misshapen or faint. And when such a wide, flat strike combines with doubled features or incorrect metal weight, it becomes a show-stopping specimen that any collector would dream of owning, bringing us even closer to that multi-million-dollar valuation. But the mystery deepens when stories emerge of die cap errors where a coin becomes stuck to the die and repeatedly stamps new blanks, creating a bizarre mushroom-shaped piece with extraordinarily warped impressions. And such dramatic deformation is incredibly rare for a quarter and would easily command colossal interest from collectors seeking the most extreme examples of mint misfires, Yet other errors whisper through the collecting community, including dramatic die cracks, where fractured die produces raised vein-like scars across Washington's portrait or the eagle on the reverse, creating an almost organic texture that reveals the exact moment the die failed. And when these cracks become large enough to produce what is known as a cud, where a chunk of die breaks off altogether, leaving a raised blank blob of metal somewhere along the rim, the coin becomes even more extraordinary, symbolizing the literal breakdown of minting machinery that somehow escaped monitoring long enough to strike at least one coin. And if just one super specimen of the 1997 P quarter combined a cud, off-center strike, double die design, and wrong planchet composition, the result could surely drive collectors to bid into the millions for the right to own what would essentially be a modern legend. And this is before we even consider the condition premium, because mint state examples, with perfectly preserved surfaces, minimal scratches, razor-sharp detail, and strong strikes command dramatically higher prices, especially when authenticated by premier third-party grading services that encapsulate and certify their true nature. And it is here that we see how the $12 million figure begins to make sense in the realm of extreme collecting, because when rarity meets outlandish error, stacking, and immaculate preservation, historical value becomes inseparable from emotional desire, leading collectors with large financial capability to spend astronomical amounts to secure treasures that may never appear again. And rumors swirl of privately held 1997 P quarter specimens with precisely these characteristics, fueling the belief that somewhere inside a vault, or buried in an inherited coin jar, or hiding deep in a forgotten dresser drawer, lies this multi-million-dollar prize, waiting for a lucky finder to recognize its worth. And that possibility alone keeps people searching, examining loose change, hunting through garage sales, and combing through inherited coin collections, because the thrill of discovery is irresistible when the prize could be life-changing. And the Philadelphia Mint, known for enormous production runs, often pushed its machinery hard, meaning the possibility for unnoticed breakdowns and resulting mint errors is always present. But only a minuscule number slip past quality control with the type of spectacular flaws capable of creating legendary value, which is why so many coin enthusiasts believe that the 1997 P quarter has extraordinary hidden potential, especially when we acknowledge how error coins like double-struck pieces, where two impressions appear slightly misaligned, could exist because a coin did not eject before being struck again, producing a shadow image effect that becomes unmistakably rare. Or even brockage strikes, where one struck coin gets jammed in the die and stamps its mirror design onto the next blank, turning the struck side into a strange reversed copy of the original. And when these mistakes line up perfectly with a 1997 P designation and a beautiful preservation state, they take on an almost mythical status because their rarity goes beyond counting and enters the realm of singularity. And with collectors always pushing boundaries, bidding wars can erupt that take auction results to unexpected heights, proving that we do not only value rarity in numbers, but also in narrative, because each error coin tells the story of a precise instant in time where failure became beauty. And that story is what transforms a quarter into a masterpiece worth $12 million. Drawing us deeper into the fascination of numismatics, where possibilities remain endless and every small detail can shift value more than anyone would believe, leaving us eager to keep searching change, investigating old coin rolls, and dreaming of the day when the next unbelievable error coin is discovered, making someone's world change forever. Next, 1985 P Washington quarter. A coin that millions once carried casually in their pockets, used in grocery stores, vending machines, and parking meters. But hidden among those countless examples lies an extraordinary version rumored to be worth an incredible $8 million because of a captivating combination of rare mistakes, minting anomalies, metal mysteries, and unbelievable striking errors that have pushed this quarter into the realm of legendary numismatic treasures, sparking wonder and excitement across the collecting world as people everywhere explore their change, hoping to uncover their own life-changing discovery. And this breathtaking journey begins with the Philadelphia Mint in 1985, a year known for high-volume production that flooded the nation with business-dry quarters. Yet high production increases the chances for unnoticed minting flaws to escape detection. And it is these rare mechanical mishaps that have fueled the story, especially when we consider double die varieties where the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," the date 1985 itself, or even Washington's profile may appear doubled or ghosted due to misalignment between planchet and die during striking, creating a layered effect that is instantly recognizable under magnification and deeply desired by collectors, especially when the doubling is strong and sharply defined. Because the more dramatic and obvious the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes, and while small doubling can add value, it is the extreme doubled features that have driven speculation that one example could be so extraordinary that collectors would willingly pay millions to secure it. Yet doubling is only one part of the equation, as a 1985 P quarter is also rumored to harbor wrong planchet strikes, where the coin may have been accidentally struck on metal mint for a different denomination like a dime or foreign planchet, making its weight and size unusual, resulting in softer details, odd metallic tones, and sometimes thinner rims. And when these wrong planchet strikes combine with doubling or strong strike details, they create a rare chimera of mistakes that collectors consider priceless, because wrong alloy coins lie at the top of the error hierarchy, especially when authenticated by reputable grading services that confirm the metal composition. While another highly prized anomaly associated with this year is the missing clad layer error, where part of the nickel coating failed to adhere or peeled away, exposing the copper core beneath and giving the quarter a vivid two-tone appearance. And when a coin with a missing clad layer maintains a full date and mint mark with strong strike detail, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, its desirability skyrockets, becoming yet another component that can push value into the 6 or 7-figure range. But the fabled $8 million valuation arises from the possibility that somewhere exists a perfect storm combining multiple dramatic errors into a single specimen: doubled obverse, wrong metal planchet, partial brockage, off-center strike, rotated reverse, and missing clad layers stacked together, creating a one-of-a-kind masterpiece that defies tradition and becomes the stuff of legend. And what makes the idea so compelling is that off-center strikes, where the design is shifted so part of the coin is blank, increase in value as more of the design is displaced but still shows date and mint mark clearly. Meaning a far off-center 1985 P quarter with other serious flaws could be unbelievably valuable, especially if the positioning of the strike produces a visually dramatic scene. And when we add the possibility of broad-struck errors, where the collar that normally shapes and contains the planchet fails, causing the coin to spread wider and thinner than normal, creating a stretched appearance with faint or recessed rims, the uniqueness deepens, especially if the error does not compromise the legibility of the date, as the best error specimens always display both date and mint mark. And then there are die cracks and cuds, where fractures within the die produce raised lines across the coin's surface or raised blobs of metal near the rim, where chunks of the die have broken away. And the larger the cud, the more distinctive and valuable the coin becomes, because it not only proves the exact moment of mint malfunction, but transforms the coin into a singular canvas of mechanical chaos, frozen in time, with jagged lines and bulging metal marking its transformation into a true rarity. But perhaps the most mesmerizing error whispered about among collectors is the double strike or triple strike error, where the coin failed to eject properly and was struck multiple times, imprinting overlapping impressions of Washington's portrait or the eagle on the reverse, creating an eerie layered image that looks almost sculptural. And if this were combined with off-center placement or rotated alignment, the coin would become literally priceless in the eyes of elite collectors who crave unmatched originality. And speaking of rotated strikes, a rotated die error occurs when the obverse and reverse designs do not align correctly, sometimes drifting by 45 or even 90 degrees. And this peculiarity alone can bring significant value when dramatic enough. But combine it with doubled features or wrong metal composition, and the desirability becomes enormous, contributing to the mythos that a single dream specimen exists that could achieve $8 million value at auction. Because when rarity, condition, dramatic visual appeal, stacked errors, and intense collector desire intersect, price becomes limited only by imagination and market competition. And underlying all of this is the importance of condition, because a 1985p quarter with minimal wear, crisp strike, bright luster, and untouched surfaces certified by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC will command massively higher premiums than one with scratches or heavy circulation marks, making mint-state errors incredibly valuable, especially when they exhibit strong eye appeal. And some expert collectors have suggested that if the rumored ultimate example is real, it may already be locked away in a private collection, hidden from public view. Its owner fully aware of its unparalleled status and unwilling to let it surface until the perfect high-stakes auction offers a moment that could shatter existing records, because we have seen other modern error coins reach staggering amounts at auction, especially when two or more serious minting mistakes overlap into a single specimen, showing us that there truly is no limit to value when rarity defies all logic. And so the fascination grows, with treasure hunters everywhere scanning change for signs of doubling, unusual thickness, weak strikes, odd coloration, or odd-shaped rims that might hint at an incredible mistake, encouraging even casual viewers to pay closer attention to the coins in their pockets, because beneath that ordinary metallic surface might rest a fortune, waiting for someone who recognizes its story. And as this legend continues to grow, the 1985p Washington quarter stands as a thrilling reminder that one tiny piece of metal can carry enormous mystery. That ordinary objects can transform into priceless wonders when history and error intertwine, and that destiny can hide in the most unexpected places, teaching us that every coin is worth a second look, because the next person to discover that mythical $8 million quarter might be someone just like you. Someone curious, someone hopeful, someone who understands that the world of numismatics is full of surprises, where even the smallest detail can turn everyday change into unimaginable treasure. Next, 1987p Washington quarter, a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint that has become the center of intense numismatic fascination because of extraordinary mistakes and rumored minting anomalies so dramatic the unique specimen has been valued at an unbelievable $26 million, a number so high it almost feels unreal until you learn why its errors, mysteries, and possibilities elevate it to nearly mythical status. And just imagining that a simple quarter worth 25 cents could soar to a price rivaling elite artworks and historical relics is enough to make anyone check every 1987p quarter they encounter. Because within these small coins may lie a world of wonders born from rare, unpredictable minting errors like double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, rotated reverses, missing clad layers, dramatic strike-throughs, die breaks and cuds, double or triple strikes, brockages, and other shocking mechanical mishaps that could transform a routine mint product into a one-of-a-kind treasure, starting with the double die error category, where the obverse inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the date 1987, or even Washington's profile itself appear layered or ghosted, the result of misaligned dyes that created a duplicate impression visible under magnification. And collectors go wild for such bold double dyes because their visual drama instantly proves something unusual happened during production, especially when the doubling is strong, enough to be spotted with the naked eye. And when you combine doubling with a pristine mint state condition, the value can shoot into the stratosphere. But the 1987 P quarter lore goes far beyond doubling, including stories of off-center strikes where the design shifted dramatically so sections of the coin remain blank while the date and mint mark remain visible. A critical element because only off-center strikes that retain the full date and mint mark can achieve top-tier collector demand, and the farther off-center the strike, while keeping key details intact, the more valuable the coin becomes. Yet even this pales compared to rumors of wrong planchet errors where a 1987 P quarter may have been struck on metal intended for another denomination, such as a dime or foreign planchet, causing it to weigh differently, sound unusual when dropped, and show unexpected coloration. And because wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most desirable in modern numismatics, even in normal condition, example of this type could bring enormous auction prices. But imagine one that also carries doubling, off-center striking, or other dramatic effects, and it becomes easy to understand how $26 million becomes possible when a once-in-human history specimen surfaces. And then there are missing clad layer errors where part of the nickel-clad coating peeled or never bonded properly, exposing the copper core that gives the coin a two-toned appearance easily recognized by even casual observers. And when this error appears in combination with other major anomalies, the rarity multiplies exponentially, particularly if the coin remains in excellent condition. And some collectors whisper about a 1987 P quarter with a full missing clad layer on one side, double die obverse, and slightly rotated reverse. A trifecta of remarkable traits that could place its value in the millions due to the rarity of such stacked mistakes. Yet the mystery deepens when we consider broad-struck errors, where the retaining collar that normally keeps the coin's rim properly shaped fails during striking, allowing the coin to spread wider with a distorted rim and sometimes blending of the design into the outer margin. And although broad strikes alone bring worthwhile premiums, combining them with dramatic obverse doubling, wrong planchet speculation, or off-center strikes make for the type of coin that only appears once in a lifetime. And then we explore the realm of die caps, where a coin sticks to the die face and repeatedly stamps other blanks, creating mushroom-shaped distortions with deeply concave surfaces and stretched design elements. And any 1987 P quarter showing this breath-stopping deformation would instantly become a headline piece in auction catalogs. But perhaps the most dramatic mechanical accident is the brockage error, where a struck coin becomes stuck and stamps its mirrored design onto the next blank, creating reverse impressions on the obverse or vice versa. And collectors pay staggering prices for these because brockages visually tell the story of the striking chamber's malfunction without needing explanation. And when combined with full visible date, strong preservation, and 1987 P origin, value climbs sharply. But the legend of a $26 million specimen arises not just from one error, but from the thrilling speculation that one example somewhere may carry multiple distinct catastrophic errors stacked together, doubling so strong it looks like two portraits of wrong metal planchet, making it lighter than normal, a partial brockage on the reverse, as well as dramatic die cracks across Washington's bust and a rotated reverse by more than 90 degrees. And when you imagine a single coin displaying all these intense anomalies, you begin to see how such an object would transcend ordinary valuation and become a priceless treasure, especially if preserved in near-perfect mint state condition and die cracks themselves form. As fractures appear in the die, creating raised, jagged lines across the coin, sometimes spreading across Washington's face like lightning or crossing the eagle's wings like branches. And when these cracks grow large enough, die cuts can appear as large raised blobs along the rim where a die fragment has broken away, leaving a distinct malformed imprint. And the bigger and more dramatic the cut, the more special the coin, because it captures the exact moment the mint machinery failed, freezing it forever into a piece of numismatic history. And then there are double or triple strikes where the coin was hit multiple times, each strike misaligned, leaving echoing images that appear like visual stutter effects of Washington's profile or the eagle. And when this happens along with off-center positioning, rotated dies, or wrong composition, you find yourself holding a treasure beyond price. And rotated die errors on the 1987 P quarter have continued to fascinate collectors because when the reverse design does not align properly with the obverse, sometimes rotating as far as 90 or even 180 degrees, it signals dramatic mishandling during production. And when sharply rotated dies appear on well-preserved error coins, values spike, especially since rotation errors are extremely noticeable to the naked eye, making them instantly attractive. And then there are coins struck through debris where foreign materials such as grease, cloth, or metal flakes obstruct the dies, causing voids or strange impressions in the design, leaving areas missing detail or showing imprinted shapes from whatever blocked the strike. And dramatic strike-through errors can be worth extremely high premiums, especially when bold and paired with other major errors. And although individual 1987 P quarter errors, such as off-center strikes or minor doubling, bring respectable value, it is the mythic all-in-one specimen that collectors dream about, a coin that gathers multiple impossible errors into one miraculous piece that could surpass even the highest expectations and draw a $26 million prize from a collector seeking to own the rarest modern quarter on Earth. And the power of such a coin lies not only in its singularity, but also in its story, a story of chaos within the U.S. Mint's machinery during a precise moment in history that accidentally birthed a masterpiece of errors. And because the Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous volume of quarters in 1987, most collectors dismiss them as common, allowing a rare error piece to slip unnoticed into circulation, possibly still hidden in an attic jar, safety deposit box, or forgotten dresser drawer where it waits for someone with sharp eyes to discover it. And because condition plays a monumental role, an uncirculated or mint state example boasting stacked errors would be valued far greater than a worn piece, especially if authenticated by top-tier grading services whose certification confirms its legitimacy. Next, 1996 P quarter dollar coin. Now we dive into one of the most shocking, exciting, and mysterious stories in modern numismatics. A story that has left collectors stunned, treasure hunters scrambling to check their pocket change, and experts reevaluating what makes an ordinary coin suddenly become worth millions. Because today we're exploring the unbelievable tale of the 1996 P Washington quarter, a coin that in extremely rare circumstances has been linked to private sales and speculative collector interest reaching up to an astonishing $5 million. Not because it was minted in gold or because it belonged to a historic figure, but because of a strange combination of minting errors, hidden flaws, and unexpected production mysteries that give some examples an extreme level of rarity and desirability, making this year and mint mark one of the most misunderstood yet fascinating in the entire series. So settle in as we break down what makes this coin so unusual and why. Collectors are desperate to find surviving pieces with dramatic imperfections caused by mistakes at the Philadelphia Mint. The 1996 P quarter, at first glance, looks like nothing special, bearing the classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle reverse that had appeared since 1932. Yet the story beneath that ordinary appearance is anything but simple because during the mid-1990s, the minting process saw equipment wear and calibration issues that led to several extremely scarce air varieties, from double-struck impressions to off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even the elusive transitional planchet mistakes that make some 1996P examples wildly different from standard specimens. In fact, several reports suggest that some of the most valuable pieces may have been struck on planchets intended for different denominations or different metallic compositions, creating unusual weights, surface coloration changes, and unexpected luster effects. And when professional graders confirm such anomalies on a coin from a massive mintage year, the rarity multiplies instantly. One of the most talked about possibilities involves specimens struck on a foreign planchet, perhaps leftover metal reserved for a dime, resulting in a slightly smaller thickness and a noticeably different ring when tapped. And while these mistakes are so rare that only a handful are believed to exist, their dramatic origin story and extreme difficulty to authenticate make them highly desirable, especially to collectors willing to pay premium sums for pieces that combine mystery and historical accident. Another major source of value is the double-die obverse, where the portrait of George Washington or the inscription such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date 1996 show faint yet noticeable doubling, creating ghost-like shadows that prove that the coin was struck improperly. Most examples seen are weak and subtle, but the bold ones are what keep collectors hunting, because the more prominent the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. Just the presence of a strong double die on this year is enough to thrust a 1996P quarter into the upper ranks of collectible errors. But when combined with additional striking mistakes, the price can skyrocket to the multi-million-dollar dream figure that has attracted so much attention, especially when combined with an otherwise pristine surface. Dramatic off-center strikes, where part of the design is clearly outside the normal boundaries, also play a role in pushing this coin into legendary status, with examples where more than 50% of the design is shifted being extremely rare, because most such coins would have been destroyed by the mint quality control process. However, a few likely slipped through unnoticed, matching the pattern seen in other rare years where misaligned dies led to collector treasures emerging years later. Another fascinating possibility involves broad-struck coins where the planchet failed to enter the collar properly, spreading abnormally around the edges and giving the quarter a melted-like, stretched appearance. A visual defect so striking that it immediately captures attention, and the unusual silhouette enhances its desirability even if the coin has circulation wear. Then we come to one of the most valuable error possibilities of all, the missing clad layer. A dramatic problem where the outer nickel-clad coating was never applied or peeled away due to bonding errors, leaving an exposed copper-colored surface that gives the coin a distinct reddish tone. And because these coins weigh slightly less than a normal quarter and show unusual texturing, they are easy to identify but exceedingly difficult to find. The rarity of a missing clad layer on 1996P quarters is what makes them one of the most talked about error varieties, and collectors believe that pristine examples could demand millions in private high-end bidding wars due to their unmistakable appearance and dramatic origin story. Another subtle yet real possibility involves the wrong metal composition or transitional planchets, such as quarters mistakenly struck on leftover pre-1999 experimental state quarter planchets, or even foreign currency blanks intended for overseas contracts handled by the U.S. Mint. If authenticated, such examples possess a unique historical and industrial backstory that makes them nearly priceless. Additionally, die cracks, cuds, and breaks can appear across the 1996P series, where sections of the metal design appear raised or missing due to damage in the die itself, creating strange shapes or missing features near Washington's portrait or along the lettering. In some specimens, collectors have documented dramatic raised lines spreading through the coin's surface like lightning bolts, And when such organic shapes appear in coins with more serious and rare errors, like doubling or wrong planchets, their combined uniqueness massively increases the item's value. Furthermore, the Philadelphia Mint in the 1990s experienced occasional issues with planchet feeding systems and toning conditions that may have produced specimens with odd coloration, muted luster, or streaked surfaces that were never intended to leave the facility, yet somehow escaped into circulation and later surfaced in private collections, adding yet another layer of intrigue for specialists studying this specific year. In the rarest cases, collectors report pieces displaying partial design remnants left over from previously struck coins, a dramatic effect known as a die cap or brockage, where a previously struck piece remains stuck in the press and transferred a mirrored impression onto the next coin, creating an eerie backward ghost design that guarantees massive value because it proves a mechanical and timing malfunction that almost never slips by unnoticed, especially in high-volume mint environments. The few existing examples that combine multiple errors, such as a brockage plus doubling plus an off-center strike, are the dream finds that might raise real-world values into the million-dollar realm, especially when presented in high-grade condition by certified grading services. And although most 1996p quarters are incredibly common and worth face value, these rare anomalies prove that hidden fortune can sit unnoticed in regular pocket change. The combination of intense rarity, historical minting problems, dramatic visual errors, and the growing fascination with American coinage has encouraged the belief that one extraordinary 1996p quarter with exceptional errors can easily fetch $5 million or more from deep-pocket collectors desperate for a one-of-a-kind prize with an unforgettable story. And while such trophies are nearly impossible to find, the thrill of possibility continues to electrify the numismatic community, pushing hobbyists to keep searching through old collections, inherited coin jars, and decades-old stashes in hopes of discovering that elusive mis-minted gem that could change their life in an instant. Next, 1981p Washington Quarter, a coin that under extremely rare circumstances has been claimed to reach a mind-blowing value of $22 million due to unusual minting errors and extraordinary mistakes that transform an ordinary piece of pocket change into a legendary numismatic treasure. And while most 1981 Philadelphia quarters are common and worth only their face value, a tiny handful believed to carry extraordinary production flaws have been described as some of the most fascinating anomalies ever to appear from modern United States mint history, creating a gripping sense of wonder about what mistakes could possibly elevate a coin struck in massive numbers into one worthy of unbelievable attention and staggering price speculation for private collectors. The 1981p Washington Quarter, bearing the classic eagle reverse and George Washington's portrait on the obverse, came from a period when the mint was undergoing heavy production demands, leading to equipment wear, striking inconsistencies, die fatigue, and the occasional planchet mishap, all of which could create remarkable errors. And it is these dramatic minting faults that fueled rumors and private high-end discussions about a handful of surviving masterpieces from this year. One of the most intriguing theories involves the possibility that some of these rare quarters were struck on leftover foreign planchet from contracts the U.S. Mint handled for other countries, possibly resulting in unexpected weights, thicknesses, and surface colors. And when collectors find a coin with composition or metallic tone anomalies confirmed by testing, its rarity instantly multiplies, especially among buyers who understand how unlikely it is for a batch of foreign blanks to survive and accidentally enter domestic quarter production, making such a piece potentially one of the most valuable mint accidents ever documented. Another remarkable type of error said to exist among the most valuable 1981p quarters is the double-die obverse variety, where the inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date appear faintly doubled, creating a ghosted shadow effect around the letters or portrait. Even subtle doubling can add serious value, but when strong doubling appears combined with additional striking abnormalities, collectors believe the coin becomes a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, especially when preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. The combination of die deterioration and misalignment could also cause dramatic doubling on Washington's profile, leading to extraordinary depth distortion visible around the jawline, nose, or ponytail. And when this appears on a quarter that also exhibits a more prominent error, such as an off-center strike, the overall rarity may climb to unprecedented levels. Off-center strikes themselves are another major contributor to value. And although mild off-centering is relatively common, examples where 25, 50, or even more than 50% of the design is shifted are extremely scarce because the mint's quality control would typically remove such dramatically flawed coins from circulation. However, a tiny number are believed to have escaped into the public, and those with perfect surfaces and multiple errors layered together are considered priceless by passionate collectors who treasure the simultaneous appearance of multiple flaws on a single piece. Another dramatic error, sometimes linked to the fabled 1981p multimillion-dollar examples, is the broad strike phenomenon, where the coin fails to properly seat inside the collar during striking, causing the metal to expand outward abnormally, giving the quarter a stretched and softened rim appearance. And when paired with other errors, such as doubling or die cracks, the effect becomes even more desirable because it demonstrates multiple mechanical failures happening at once, a near impossible scenario considering the tightly controlled minting environment. In some specimens, die cracks and cuds appear across the obverse or reverse, creating raised fissures or missing chunks of design formed when the die itself fractured or collapsed during use. These imperfections can dramatically alter details around Washington's portrait, lettering, or the eagle's wings. And the more pronounced these structural failures are, the more distinctive and valuable the coin becomes to collectors fascinated by the organic, jagged forms that prove the die was physically damaged during the strike. Even more thrilling are the stories of transitional or experimental planchet errors believed to exist for the 1981p quarter, where examples may have been struck on leftover copper planchets, test material, or blanks intended for other denominations. These rare survivors would show significant differences in color, edge structure, magnetic response, or weight. An authentication of such an unusual metallic composition could explain why a specimen might elevate to the $22 million valuation repeated in whispered collector circles, where the presence of a previously undocumented metal experiment could make the coin unique in the world. Missing clad layer errors are another astonishing possibility, where the outer nickel layer fails to bond properly, leaving the reddish copper core exposed and giving the coin a strange, burned tone. Such pieces are visually striking, lightweight, and rare, but if a missing clad layer coincided with other major errors like off-center striking or doubling, the combined rarity could push the value beyond all expectations, making the coin a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot find. Perhaps the most extraordinary of all reported varieties is the brockage error, where a previously struck coin becomes stuck inside the press and transfers a mirrored impression onto the next planchet, creating an eerie, backward appearance that looks like a ghostly reflection of the original design. If a 1981p quarter exists with this extreme error in combination with foreign planchet confusion, doubling, or broad strike deformation, such a coin would be considered a miracle in modern minting. History and worthy of nearly any price a billionaire collector might offer. And then there are tales of partial collar strikes, where only part of the collar engaged properly, resulting in a strange blend of normal and stretched edges. And when this hybrid flaw accompanies accidental use of an experimental alloy or metallic blank, the value leaps dramatically, amplifying the mystique surrounding a coin that already defies normal production logic. There are also rumors about some 1981p quarters exhibiting dramatic lamination errors, with a metal surface cracked or peeled due to impurities inside the planchet, creating strange surface distortions that make every specimen with such damage completely unique. When lamination flaws appear alongside a missing clad layer or off-center strike, the combined anomaly becomes exceedingly rare and highly desirable. Some collectors even speculate about mulling mishaps where mismatched obverse and reverse dies could have been paired together, creating a hybrid design that should never exist. And although such theories remain largely unconfirmed, even the possibility fuels the legend around the 1981p quarter and adds to its allure as a potential record-breaking treasure hiding in plain sight. The Philadelphia Mint in 1981 produced enormous volumes of quarters during a period of equipment fatigue and production pressure. And while most errors were caught or destroyed, the premise that a tiny handful escaped into circulation is not impossible. Over the decades, coin enthusiasts have searched through old collections, bankrolls, inherited coin jars, and estate sales in hopes of discovering one of these nearly mythical error specimens, because just one extraordinary 1981p quarter with multiple significant errors confirmed by professional grading companies could instantly transform an ordinary person into a multimillionaire. When a single coin displays a perfect storm of conditions, foreign or transitional planchet composition, strong doubling, off-center striking, broad-struck edges, dramatic die cracks, missing clad layer, and brockage impression, the uniqueness becomes so extreme that no other example is likely to exist, making it irreplaceable and therefore capable of commanding a staggering price far beyond ordinary numismatic norms. Last, 1993D Washington Quarter, a coin surrounded by mystery, shock, and intense fascination, because this specific quarter has been claimed in numismatic circles to be worth an astonishing $135 million due to a remarkable combination of mint errors, striking anomalies, and unbelievable production mistakes that elevate its value far beyond the imagination of most coin collectors and casual viewers, turning it into a once-in-a-generation phenomenon that keeps treasure hunters searching through their drawers, jars, and bank rolls with renewed excitement as they dream of finding their own multi-million-dollar quarter. The 1993D quarter, minted in Denver during a time of heavy coin production, was intended to be just another standard piece of circulating currency, featuring George Washington on the obverse and the iconic eagle on the reverse. But somewhere during the fast-paced and high-pressure striking schedule, unusual production conditions gave rise to a specimen unlike anything numismatics had seen before. Because even though normal examples are extremely common and worth only their face value, a few rumored extraordinary survivors combined an improbable stack of rare errors that pushed their potential value into the realm of private collector fantasy, reaching the unbelievable figure of $135 million. One of the most crucial components contributing to this price is the possibility of a planchet error so dramatic that it defies ordinary explanation, with rumors circulating that the most valuable example may have been struck on an experimental planchet intended for a different coin series or even for a foreign contract, resulting in unconventional metal composition, weight, thickness, and coloration that immediately capture expert attention. And because the Denver Mint occasionally handled foreign coin issuance, a leftover blank slipping into domestic production is unlikely yet not impossible, increasing the mystique around this extraordinary piece. A quarter struck on a silver, bronze, nickel silver, or test alloy planchet instead of the expected copper-nickel clad composition instantly becomes one of the rarest modern mint anomalies imaginable. And when this unusual metal presence combines with other devastating errors, its value rises exponentially. The second major factor elevating this coin's legendary value is strong double-die errors, particularly on the obverse where inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 1993 show dramatic shadow-like doubling that is visible even without magnification. And when Washington's profile itself displays signs of bold doubling around his jaw, ponytail, and nose, the coin becomes even more spectacular because strong doubling of this magnitude is extremely scarce in modern quarters and instantly increases desirability among experts who recognize how rare such a striking mishap truly is. Even more astonishing are claims of reverse doubling on the eagle's wings, tail feathers, and surrounding text, which, when paired with obverse doubling, suggests that both dies experienced misalignment or vibration during production, creating a combined error far more unusual than typical single-side doubling. These multiple layers of doubling, when present together, amplify the rarity enormously. Further contributing to the unbelievable valuation are extreme off-center strike errors, where a significant portion of the design is misaligned, sometimes by 30, 50, or even more than 50%, resulting in blank metal areas with only partial images of Washington or the eagle. And because such dramatic off-center pieces are almost always caught and destroyed before they reach circulation, their survival indicates an extraordinary accident at the mint. When an off-center strike appears on an experimental planchet while also showing strong doubling, the rarity becomes astronomical because this combination of errors is beyond improbable. Another jaw-dropping possibility connected with this coin is the broad strike effect, where the collar that normally confines the metal fails to engage, allowing the quarter to expand outward during the strike, leaving the rim distorted or missing entirely. And when this broad strike condition is combined with double die features and severe off-centering, it creates a visual spectacle unlike anything typically expected from U.S. coinage, helping explain why collectors would speculate a price into the hundreds of millions. The Denver Mint, although known for quality control, was operating under heavy strain in 1993, producing massive quantities, and this pressure could explain why a rare multi-error specimen slipped into public circulation. Die cracks and cuds are additional powerful value multipliers, especially when they appear prominently on the obverse or reverse, running through Washington's forehead, the eagle's wing, or the text near the rim, forming raised metal lines or missing chunks of design where the die chipped away during striking. Such dramatic die fractures not only prove that the minting equipment was damaged at the time of striking, but also make the coin visually unmistakable and impossible to replicate because these cracks form unpredictable patterns that ensure each specimen is completely unique. The more extreme the cud or crack, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if other major errors are present. In addition to these, stories circulate about missing clad layer variations where the outer nickel coating fails to adhere properly, leaving the copper core exposed, creating a reddish surface tone and lighter weight that instantly signal a dramatic mint error. Missing clad layers alone can be valuable, but when combined with off-center strikes, doubling, or broad strike anomalies, the uniqueness multiplies beyond measure. Some versions of this legendary coin are described with brockage errors, where a previously struck coin became lodged between the die and the planchet during striking, imprinting a mirrored backward image onto one side of the next coin, creating a ghost-like appearance that is deeply sought after because these errors are some of the rarest and most visually shocking minting mistakes known. A 1993 D quarter displaying a brockage strike alongside double die effects and abnormal planchet properties would be such an anomaly that even major museums would struggle to find another like it. Lamination errors also contribute to the mystery, with peeling metal surface layers caused by impurities in the planchet, producing jagged, unpredictable cracks that reveal underlying material, making each specimen a one-of-a-kind piece of art formed by natural minting flaws. In the most extreme speculative accounts, the legendary 1993 D quarter is even rumored to be a mule error, struck with mismatched obverse and reverse dies intended for different denominations or years, an error so rare that only a tiny handful of mule coins exist in modern U.S. history. If a mule strike occurred on a wrong planchet coin with doubling, off-centering, broad strike widening, die cracks, and missing clad layer, it would be a truly impossible alignment of minting catastrophes, explaining why collectors willing to pay nearly unlimited sums might push its value to $135 million in a private sale or exclusive auction. What makes this story so compelling is not only the extraordinary combination of potential errors, but the fact that even one such coin is almost too rare to imagine. And yet the possibility continues to invite treasure hunters to search for the next great discovery hiding in plain sight. Every day, people dig through their change, search through old jars, examine inherited collections, or purchase bags of circulated quarters in hopes that lightning might strike twice, because fortune does not always hide in banks or vaults. Sometimes it rests quietly in a small metal disc exchanged every day for groceries, fuel, or parking meters. Nearly all 1993 D quarters remain worth only face value. But if a single specimen emerges displaying the near-impossible combination of multi-layered errors, experimental planchet, bold doubling, severe offset or strike, broad strike distortion, massive die cracks, missing clad layer, blockage image, and even mule confusion,